The text arrives at 4:47 p.m. on a Thursday, and I stare at it for a full minute before my brain catches up to what I'm seeing. Can't wait to see you tonight. From Sarah, my boss Sarah, the Sarah who signs my paychecks and runs our marketing firm with a kind of terrifying efficiency that makes grown professionals weep into their lattes. I read it 3 times, then check the sender again. Then read it once more because surely there's been some mistake, some autocorrect disaster, some cosmic glitch in the cellular network that has delivered someone else's intimate message to my phone. My daughter Mia looks up from her homework, catches the expression on my face. "You okay, Mom?" She's 12, perceptive in that way that sometimes feels like a superpower and sometimes feels like a curse depending on what I'm trying to hide. I lock my phone, slide it face down on the kitchen counter. "Fine, honey. Just work stuff." The lie tastes stale on my tongue. But what else can I say? Your mother's boss just sent her what appears to be a flirtatious text, and I'm having a minor existential crisis while you're working on fractions. Mia narrows her eyes at me. The same gray-green eyes she got from her father. The father she's never met. The father whose name I haven't spoken aloud in 13 years. "You look weird," she says. Like when Grandma called about the thing. The thing was my mother's barely disguised horror that I'd chosen. To have Mia alone, that I never married, that I was raising a child in a 2-bedroom apartment instead of a house with a white picket fence and a husband who grilled on weekends. I pick up my phone again, read the message a 4th time. Still there, still confusing. Still from Sarah Chun, Director of Marketing, my supervisor for the last 3 years, a woman I've never seen outside of business casual attire, whose personal life is so private that the entire office has running theories about whether she even exists outside of work hours. Some people think she's secretly married. Others think she's a robot. Janet from accounting swears she once saw Sarah at Whole Foods, buying nothing but sparkling water and organic kale, which only fueled the robot theory. I text back, fingers hovering over the keys for an embarrassing amount of time. "I think you might have sent this to the wrong person." The question mark feels necessary. A little life raft of plausible deniability. 3 dots appear immediately, disappear, appear again. My heart does something complicated in my chest. A stutter skip that reminds me I have a cardiovascular system, and it's currently very confused. "No," she writes, "I sent it to exactly the right person. Dinner at 7, I'll explain everything." I look at Mia, who's abandoned all pretense of doing homework, and is now openly staring at me. "You're being super weird," she announces. "Is someone dying?" "No one is dying." "Then why do you look like you're going to throw up?" I don't have an answer for that because I'm not entirely sure myself why this message has tilted my entire world 15 to the left. Sarah is attractive. Objectively speaking, tall, slim, with black hair. She wears in a perpetual neat bun and dark eyes that miss absolutely nothing. She's probably 15 years older than me, maybe more, with the kind of elegant composure that makes me feel like I'm constantly spilling things even when I'm sitting perfectly still. We have a professional relationship, a good one. She respects my work, gives me interesting projects, occasionally tells me I'm doing well in that clipped way that makes the praise feel worth something. But we're not friends. We don't have drinks after work. I don't know her favorite color or whether she has siblings or what she does on weekends. I have to go out tonight. I tell Mia, "Can you stay at Emma's?" Emma is her best friend, lives 2 doors down, has parents who think I'm a good mother despite the single parent thing, which makes them unicorns in our neighborhood. Mia perks up. "Really? On a school night?" "Just this once, I'll text Mrs. Patterson. Is this a date?" Mia asks. There's something in her voice, something hopeful and careful at the same time. She's been asking about my dating life since she was 9. Ever since she figured out that most of her friends have 2 parents and she has 1. "No," I say automatically, then pause. "I don't know. Maybe it's complicated." "Everything's complicated with you," Mia says. But she's smiling now, gathering her books. "You should wear the blue sweater. It makes you look less like you're going to a funeral." I text Sarah back. Okay, where? She sends me an address. It's not a restaurant. It's a residential street in the nice part of town. The part where houses have actual yards and trees that aren't stunted by car exhaust. My confusion multiplies. Your house. I type. Just trust me, she responds. Please. The please does something to me. Softens something in my chest. I've never heard Sarah say please. Never seen her be anything other than completely self-assured and in control. The please makes her human. Makes this whole bizarre situation suddenly feel less like a prank and more like something real. Something that requires me to show up and find out what happens next. I drop Mia at Emma's house at 6:15. Field, Mrs. Patterson's knowing looks and gentle questions. About my evening plans with the kind of vague deflection I've perfected over the years. I drive to Sarah's neighborhood in my ancient Honda, feeling increasingly out of place as the houses get bigger and the cars and driveways get newer. Her house is a Craftsman, dark blue with white trim, a porch light glowing warm against the October evening. I sit in my car for 5 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, wondering what the hell I'm doing. I could leave. I could text and say I'm sick, that Mia needs me, that I've been abducted by aliens. But the is still there, echoing in my head, and something else, too. Something I haven't felt in so long, I almost don't recognize it. Curiosity, the desire to know what happens next. To step into the uncertainty instead of away from it. I walk up the path, ring the doorbell. The door opens almost immediately, and Sarah is there. And she's not wearing work clothes. She's in jeans. Jeans and a soft gray sweater that makes her look younger, more vulnerable. Less like the woman who once made a grown man cry during a performance review. Hi, she says, and her voice is different too. Quieter with an edge of nervousness that makes my own anxiety ease slightly. Hi, I echo. We stand there for a moment, 2 women on a threshold, neither quite sure what to do next. Then she steps back, gestures me inside. Thank you for coming. I know this is strange. Strange doesn't begin to cover it, but I don't say that. I follow her through a hallway decorated with black and white, photographs into a kitchen that smells like garlic and rosemary and something baking. There's a table set for 2 candles lit, wine breathing in a decanter that looks expensive. Sarah, I start and she holds up a hand. Let me explain, she says, before you run away or call HR or decide I've lost my mind. She pours wine into 2 glasses, hands me one. Her fingers brush mine and I feel that touch in my spine. A small electric shock of recognition that I immediately try to suppress. 10 years ago, she begins, I was someone else. I had a different name, a different life. I was married to a man I thought I loved, living in Connecticut, running a small consulting business. And I was miserable. Completely existentially miserable in a way I couldn't admit because it never let anyone from that life find me. Never admit that version of myself existed. She looks at me and her eyes are bright with something that might be tears. But then you walked into my office 3 years ago for your interview and I knew. Knew what? My voice comes out scratchy, confused. You don't remember me, she says. Why would you? We only met once briefly at a fundraiser in Connecticut. You were there with someone, a woman with red hair who kept her hand on your back the whole night. You were so young, maybe 24, 25. You laughed at something she said, and the sound of it made me realize I couldn't remember the last time I'd laughed like that. Free and genuine and full of joy. The memory surfaces slowly, reluctantly a fundraiser. I was 24. I was with Rachel, my girlfriend at the time, before things fell apart before Mia, before the life I have now. I remember the event vaguely. Remember being overdressed and uncomfortable. Remember Rachel introducing me to dozens of people whose names I immediately forgot. I don't remember you, I admit, feeling guilty about it. Sarah smiles, but it's sad. I wouldn't expect you to. I was forgettable then, playing a role, pretending to be someone I wasn't. But I remembered you. And when you walked into my office years later, here in a different city, different life, I recognized you immediately, your smile, the way you talk with your hands when you're excited about an idea. And I told myself it was just coincidence, just fate being strange, and I'd maintain professional boundaries, and that would be that. But I prompt, because there's clearly a but coming. But I've been lying to myself for 3 years, she says. Every day you come into work, every meeting we have, every time you laugh at something or push your hair behind your ear or bite your lip when you're concentrating. I've been lying to myself about what I'm feeling. And I'm tired of lying. I'm tired of being the person who runs away from everything real because it's scary. She reaches across the table, doesn't quite touch my hand, but gets close. I know this is inappropriate. I know I'm your boss, and this could be a disaster professionally. And I should probably be fired just for having these thoughts, but I had to tell you. I had to give myself one chance to be honest before I spend another decade pretending. The kitchen is very quiet except for something bubbling on the stove. I try to process what she's telling me. Try to connect this vulnerable woman across from me with the crisp professional I've worked with for 3 years. You're gay, I say stupidly, and she laughs. A real laugh that transforms her face. Very, she confirms, extremely devastatingly. It was what ended my marriage eventually, though it took me years to admit it. I'm sorry, I never said anything at work. It's not that I'm closeted. Exactly. I just kept everything so separate, so controlled. I'm gay too, I say, which she obviously knows, which makes it a stupid thing to say. But my brain is moving at half speed. I know, she says gently. You have a picture of you and Mia at Pride on your desk, and you mentioned an ex-girlfriend once in passing, and you have a rainbow pin on your work bag. I think about that pin, the small enamel rainbow I bought at a street fair 2 years ago, and I'm struck by the thought that Sarah has been noticing these things about me, cataloging them, building a picture of my life while I remained oblivious to hers. Why now? I ask. Why tell me now? She takes a breath. Because last week when you gave that presentation to the board, you were so brilliant and confident and completely yourself. And I realized I've been watching you become more and more fully who you are while I stay hidden. And I thought, what's the point of starting over a new life if I'm just going to be scared in it? What am I running from if I never let myself run toward anything? The timer on the stove goes off. Sarah gets up, pulls out what looks like a perfect lasagna, sets it on the counter to cool. The domesticity of it, the care she's taken, hits me harder than any of the words. She made dinner for me. My boss made me dinner and told me she's been maybe falling for me for 3 years. And I'm sitting in her kitchen drinking wine, and my entire understanding of reality is rearranging itself. I don't know what to say, I admit. You don't have to say anything, Sarah says. And now she does touch my hand, her fingers warm and slightly shaking. I just needed you to know. And if you want to leave, if this is too much or too weird or you don't feel the same way, I'll understand. I'll put in for a transfer on Monday. Make sure this doesn't affect your job. I won't make this your problem to manage. I look at her hand on mine, think about the last 13 years of my life. After Rachel, after the disaster of that relationship, I got pregnant with Mia through a sperm donor, built my life around being her mother, convinced myself that romantic love was something other people did, something I was too busy or too damaged or too something for. I dated occasionally brief encounters that never went anywhere because I never let them, because Mia was my priority and my excuse and my shield against having to be vulnerable again. And now Sarah is offering me something. And I don't know what it is exactly, but it feels like possibility. Like a door I didn't know existed. I need time, I say finally. This is a lot. You're my boss. I have a kid. I don't know how to do this without it being complicated. Everything worth doing is complicated, Sarah says. And she's smiling again. That sad, gentle smile. Take all the time you need. I've waited 3 years. I can wait longer. She serves the lasagna and we eat and the food is delicious. And we talk about safe things, neutral things, the kind of easy conversation that makes the intensity of earlier feel almost dreamlike. She asks about Mia and I tell her stories that make her laugh. And I realize I like making her laugh, like seeing her face open up with genuine pleasure. She tells me about the years after she left Connecticut, the loneliness and the freedom of it, the way she rebuilt herself piece by piece into someone she could actually stand to be. When I leave at 10, she walks me to the door and there's a moment where we're standing close and I wonder if she's going to kiss me. Wonder if I want her to. Wonder what it would feel like. But she doesn't. She just squeezes my hand and says, "Thank you for listening." And I drive home feeling like I've been turned inside out. All my comfortable assumptions scattered on Sarah's kitchen floor. Mia is already asleep when I pick her up from Emma's and I carry her to the car, her head heavy on my shoulder, her breath warm against my neck. She wakes up slightly when I put her to bed. Was it a good date? She mumbles. I don't know yet. I tell her honestly. Ask me later. She smiles, already falling back asleep. You're wearing the blue sweater, she says. Good choice. I lie awake for hours that night, staring at my ceiling, replaying every moment. The way Sarah's voice shook when she said she was tired of lying. The careful way she'd set the table with the candles made everything beautiful. The fact that she really noticed me when I thought I was invisible. I think about her offer to transfer to make this not my problem, and I'm struck by the generosity of it. The courage it must have taken to risk everything for one honest conversation. Somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning, I admit to myself what I've been avoiding all night. I'm interested more than interested, terrified and intrigued, and already halfway to feeling something I haven't felt in so long. I'd forgotten what to call it. On Friday, work is surreal. Sarah is perfectly professional. Gives no indication that anything has changed. Treats me exactly the way she always has. But now I notice things I didn't before. The way her eyes link. At lunch, I sit in my car and call my best friend, Jenna, who I've known since college, who knows all my disasters and loves me anyway. My boss is gay and has a crush on me, and I had dinner at her house last night. And I think I might be losing my mind, I say without preamble. Jenna is quiet for a beat. The ice queen, the one you said probably doesn't have feelings. She has feelings, I say. A lot of them about me for 3 years, apparently. Holy Jenna breathes. What are you going to do? I have no idea. I admit she's my boss. It's complicated. There are power dynamics and HR policies, and what if it doesn't work out and I lose my job and then I can't support Mia and stop spiraling. Jenna interrupts. First question, are you into her? I think about that, about Sarah's sad smile and her courage, and the way she looked in jeans and a sweater, human and vulnerable and beautiful in a way I'd never let myself notice before. Yes, I say quietly. I think I am. Maybe I have been for a while and just didn't let myself see it. Then figure out the rest later, Jenna says. You've spent 13 years being careful and responsible and putting everyone else first. Maybe it's okay to want something just because you want it. Maybe that's allowed. The weekend passes in a strange fog. Mia wants to go to the park, so we go. And I push her on the swings, even though she's probably too old for it. Watch her hair fly behind her like a banner. She's growing up so fast, shooting up tall and starting to look less like a child and more like a preview of the teenager she become. You're thinking about the date, she says, pumping her legs to go higher. How do you know? I ask. You have your thinking face on, she says. The one where you look worried and excited at the same time. Like when we went to Disney World and you were stressed about the budget, but happy we were there. It's complicated. I tell her, which is becoming my default answer for everything lately. Is she nice? Mia asks. The person you went out with? Yes, I say, and it's true. She's very nice and smart and a little bit scary, but in a good way. Does she know about me? Mia slows down, drags her feet to stop. Yes, I told her about you. She asked questions. Seemed genuinely interested. Good, Mia says decisively. That's important. Jessica's mom dated someone last year who pretended Jessica didn't exist, and it was super weird. On Monday, I'm reviewing a campaign proposal when Sarah appears at my office door. Do you have a minute? She asks, and her professional voice is back, crisp and businesslike. But there is something underneath it, a current of nervousness. I can now detect. I nod, and she comes in, closes the door. I've been thinking about what I said. She begins standing rather than sitting, her hands clasped in front of her about transferring. I don't want you to feel pressured or uncomfortable. If this is too complicated, if you're not interested, I need you to tell me so I can start making arrangements. I'm interested, I hear myself say, and Sarah's composure cracks just for a second, relief flooding her face before she gets it under control. Okay, she says carefully, then we need to talk about how to do this, right? The company has policies. We'd need to disclose the relationship to HR, probably arrange for you to report to someone else. I won't risk your career or your reputation. That's non-negotiable. You've been thinking about this. I observe. I've been thinking about nothing else for months. She admits I have a whole plan. Options, contingencies. I'm very good at planning. You're very good at a lot of things, I say. And she smiles, a real smile this time. Can I take you out again? She asks properly this time somewhere public where you don't have to feel ambushed in my kitchen. Yes, I say. But I need you to understand something. I have a daughter. She comes first always. That's not negotiable for me. I wouldn't want you any other way, Sarah says softly. The way you talk about her, the way your whole face changes when she's mentioned. It's one of the things I love about you. Love, she said love. The word hangs in the air between us. Too big and too soon. And exactly right at the same time. Neither of us acknowledges it directly. Saturday, Sarah suggests there's a new Italian place downtown. We could do dinner. Maybe walk around after if you want. Saturday works, I say. Mia's spending the day with her grandmother. I'm free until 8. 8 is perfect, Sarah says, and she's backing toward the door now. That professional mask sliding back into place. I'll make a reservation. She pauses with her hand on the doorknob. Thank you, she adds, for giving this a chance, for not running away. I spent a long time running. I tell her, maybe it's time to try standing still and seeing what happens. Saturday evening, I change my outfit 4 times while Mia sits on my bed offering commentary. That one makes you look like a teacher, she says about the cardigan and slacks. Too casual, she pronounces on the jeans and nice top. That's the one, she says when I finally put on a dark green dress. I bought years ago and never wore something that makes me feel pretty in a way I usually don't let myself feel. You look like you're going somewhere important. Mia adds, and there's something in her voice, an awareness that this matters, that tonight could change things. It is important, I tell her, but also scary. Is that normal? Everything good is scary, she says with the confidence of someone who's 12 and knows everything. Otherwise, everyone would do it. The Italian place is small and warm. Candles on every table. The smell of basil and bread making my mouth water. Sarah is already there wearing a deep blue dress that makes her eyes look almost black. She stands when she sees me, and there's a moment of awkwardness, where we both wonder if we should hug or shake hands or just sit down. We settle on a brief touch of hands, fingers intertwining for just a second before we take our seats. You look beautiful, she says. And the way she says it, simple and direct and a little odd, makes me believe her. So I manage. The dress is new. I bought it specifically for tonight and then felt ridiculous about it, but wore it anyway. We order wine and food, and the conversation flows easier than I expected. She asks about Mia's school, what she's interested in, what she's like. I tell her about Mia's obsession with marine biology, her collection of shark facts, the way she wants to be a scientist when she grows up. She sounds remarkable. Sarah says she gets that from you. She gets that from herself. I correct. I just try not to screw it up too badly. You're a good mother, Sarah says. I can tell from the way you talk about her, the way you light up, the way you've structured your whole life around giving her what she needs. I never thought I'd be a single parent. I admit that wasn't the plan. But sometimes the best things are the ones we don't plan for. We share a tiramisu for dessert. And when Sarah's fork accidentally bumps mine, reaching for the same piece, we both laugh and it feels natural, easy, like something we've been doing for years instead of days. Walking afterward, the city streets lit with streetlights and neon signs. Sarah takes my hand, just reaches over and laces her fingers through mine like it's the most natural thing in the world. I let her. We walk for blocks, not talking, just being next to each other. And it feels like something is settling inside me, some jagged piece clicking into place. Tell me about Connecticut, I say eventually. About who you used to be. Sarah is quiet for a while, and I think maybe I've pushed too far, but then she starts talking. I was Sarah Mitchell then, wife to James, who was a good man in that useless way. Some men are good. Kind but oblivious. Caring but unable to actually see me. I worked constantly. Built a business I didn't care about. Went to parties where I smiled until my face hurt. And I hate. So I left. Took nothing but some clothes and my savings account. Drove west until I ran out of country. Started over as Sarah Chun, my mother's maiden name. Built a new life from scratch. Do you regret it? She shakes her head. Never. Not for a second. The only thing I regret is all the years I wasted before I had the courage to leave. We end up at a small park, sit on a bench overlooking a pond where ducks are settled for the night. I need you to understand something, I say. I've spent 13 years protecting Mia from instability. I don't bring people into her life unless I'm sure they're going to stay. So if we do this, if we really try this, I need to know you're serious. That this isn't just some midlife crisis or fantasy that's going to burn out in 6 months. Sarah turns to face me fully. I've never been more serious about anything in my life, she says. I don't do things halfway. When I left Connecticut, I left completely. When I built this new life, I built it thoroughly. And if I'm building something with you, I'm going to build it to last. I'm scared, I admit. And saying it out loud makes it real. Makes the fear solid and manageable instead of this vague anxiety. I'm terrified that this won't work, that it'll make everything complicated at work, that Mia will get attached and then lose someone else. I'm scared that I'm not enough, that I'm too much, that I've forgotten how to do this. I'm scared too, Sarah says. I'm scared I'll screw this up, that you'll realize I'm too controlling or too damaged or too something. But being scared doesn't mean we shouldn't try. It just means it matters enough to be scary. She reaches up, touches my face gently, her thumb brushing my cheekbone. Can I kiss you? She asks, and I nod. And when her lips meet mine, it's soft and careful and full of promise. The kind of kiss that feels like a beginning. We sit there for a long time, kissing and talking and not talking. And when I finally check my phone, it's nearly midnight, and I have 3 texts from my mother asking if I'm okay and 1 from Mia that just says with about 15 exclamation points. I show Sarah the text and she laughs. I think she approves. Sarah says she told me to wear this dress. I admit she's very invested in my dating life, apparently. Smart kid. Sarah says the dress is definitely working. I drive home floating. My lips still tingling, my whole body feeling awake in a way it hasn't in years. When I pick up Mia the next morning, she takes one look at me and grins. It was good, she says. Not a question. It was very good, I confirm. Are you going to see her again? Yes, I say. A lot probably, if that's okay with you. Obviously, it's okay with me. Mia says, I'm the one who picked your outfit, remember? I'm basically responsible for this entire romance. How did you get so smart? I ask, pulling her into a hug. Good genes, she says. And excellent life coaching from the best mom ever. The next few weeks unfold in a pattern of careful navigation. At work, Sarah and I maintain strict professionalism. She sets up a meeting with HR, and I'm transferred to report to her colleague Marcus, a friendly man who seems utterly unsurprised by the whole situation. About time, he says, when Sarah explains. We all thought you two were going to spontaneously combust from all that unresolved tension. Outside of work, we're building something. Dinner dates that stretch into long conversations about everything and nothing. Movies where we hold hands in the dark and share popcorn. A Saturday afternoon at a museum where Sarah tells me about her year in Paris right after college before she met James when she was briefly happy and free. I don't introduce her to Mia right away. That feels too fast, too risky. But I tell Mia about our dates and she asks questions, and gradually, Sarah becomes a presence in our lives even before they meet. She likes old movies. Mia asks one night while we're making dinner, like black and white ones. Loves them. I say, has a whole collection. She says they're more romantic than modern films. That's kind of cool, Mia admits, but also maybe a little bit nerdy. Definitely nerdy, I agree. In a good way. When do I get to meet her? Mia asks, and the question is casual, but I can hear the real curiosity underneath. Soon, I promise. When it feels right. It feels right on a Sunday in November. I invite Sarah to our apartment for brunch, and she arrives with flowers and a bag of fresh bagels and visible nervousness that makes me love her a little bit more. Mia opens the door, looks Sarah up and down with a kind of frank assessment only. Children can get away with. You're taller than I thought, she announces. And you have really good shoes. Thank you, Sarah says, glancing down at her simple flats. I wasn't sure what to wear. Your mom said casual, but I didn't know what casual meant in this context. Those are good. Mia pronounces mom. She passes the shoe test. I roll my eyes, but I'm smiling. Come in, please. Ignore my daughter. She's being weird. We make brunch together, the three of us moving around the small kitchen, and it's surprisingly easy. Sarah asks Mia about sharks, and Mia lights up. Launches into a detailed explanation of different species that has Sarah genuinely engaged. Asking follow-up questions that's showing they bond over a shared love of mystery novels. Discover they both hate cilantro with an irrational passion. Argue good-naturedly about whether cats or dogs are better pets. Cats? Mia insists. Obviously they're independent and clean themselves. Dogs are loyal, Sarah counters. They're always happy to see you. That's just because they have no object permanence. Mia retorts. Cats know you exist when you're not in the room. Watching them, I feel something tight in my chest loosen. Some fear I'd been carrying that they wouldn't like each other. That I'd have to choose. After Mia goes to her room to video chat with Emma, Sarah helps me clean up. She's amazing, she says, washing dishes while I dry. Smart and funny and completely herself. You've done such a good job with her. She makes it easy, I say. Most of the time when she's not being a preteen nightmare about homework, or screen time, or the general unfairness of existence. She likes you, I add, and Sarah looks up vulnerable. Really, you think so? She told you about sharks, I say. She only does that with people she thinks are worth knowing. It's a very exclusive club. Sarah smiles, and then she's setting down the dish, pulling me close, kissing me in my small kitchen with sunlight streaming through the window and dish soap on our hands. I'm falling in love with you, she murmurs against my lips. Is that okay? That's okay, I whisper back. That's more than okay. By December, it's become routine. Sarah comes over twice a week for dinner. We go out on weekends when Mia's with my mother or friends. Sarah and Mia text each other terrible puns and funny articles. We're building a life together slowly, carefully, with a kind of deliberate intention that makes it feel real and lasting. My mother is less enthusiastic. This boss of yours, she says when I finally tell her, her voice tight with disapproval. It's inappropriate and you have Mia to think about. I am thinking about Mia, I tell her. I'm showing her that it's okay to be honest about who you are. To take risks on people who matter, to build something real even when it's scary. You're being selfish, my mother says. And the word stings even though I expected it. Maybe I agree, but maybe I'm allowed to be a little bit selfish sometimes. Maybe Mia deserves to see me happy instead of just safe. One evening in mid-December, we're at Sarah's house. Mia included, this time making Christmas cookies and listening to music. Mia is decorating a reindeer cookie with more frosting than cookie. And Sarah is laughing at something ridiculous. I'd love to, Sarah says, if I'm invited if it's not too much. It might be terrible, I warn. My mother is going to interrogate you about your intentions, and my uncle will probably say something embarrassing. And my cousin's kids are loud and wild, and the food is always slightly burned. Sounds perfect, Sarah says. And she means it, I can tell. Before I continue with the story, if you want to help out the channel to grow and continue making more and better videos, you can become a member. Now, let's continue with the story. Christmas at my mother's house is exactly as chaotic as I predicted. My mother is polite to Sarah, but cool, maintaining a distance that makes dinner awkward. But my uncle loves her, bonds with her over their shared hatred of cilantro, and my cousin's kids attach themselves to her legs and beg her to play with them. Watching Sarah on the floor with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, patient and silly and completely absorbed. I feel something settle in my chest, some last piece of doubt evaporating. Mia catches me watching, comes to stand next to me. She's good with kids, she observes. Yeah, I agree. She is. Are you going to marry her? Maya asks, casual and devastating at the same time. I don't know, I say honestly. Maybe someday. Is that okay with you? Obviously, Mia says. She makes you happy and she's nice to me and she laughs at my jokes even when they're bad. Those are basically the requirements, right? On the drive home, Sarah reaches for my hand across the console. Your mother hates me, she says matter of fact. She doesn't hate you, I protest. She just needs time. She has very specific ideas about how life should look, and this doesn't fit the picture. Will that be a problem? Sarah asks for us? No, I say firmly. I love my mother, but I spent too many years letting her opinions dictate my choices. I'm done with that. This is my life. Our life. Our life, Sarah repeats, testing the words. I like the sound of that. Me too, I say, and I mean it with every part of myself. In January, 6 months after that first confusing text message, we're having dinner at a restaurant when Sarah reaches across the table and takes both my hands. Move in with me, she says. You and Mia, I know it's fast. I know it's a huge step, but my house is too big for just me, and your apartment is too small for both of you, and I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to make breakfast with Mia and argue about whose turn it is to take out the trash and build something permanent. I stare at her, my heart doing that complicated thing in my chest again. That's a really big step, I say. I know, and if you're not ready, that's okay. I'll wait. But I wanted you to know that I'm ready, that I'm all in on this, on us, on building a family together. I think about my small apartment, the way Mia's outgrowing it, the way I've been using it as a fortress against change. I think about Sarah's house, the extra bedrooms, and the yard and the kitchen big enough for all of us. I think about waking up next to her, about Mia having her own space, about building something together instead of just visiting each other's lives. I need to talk to Mia, I say. This affects her too. I can't make this decision without her. Of course, Sarah says, that's one of the things I love about you. You never forget that she comes first. That night after Sarah drops us home, I sit on Mia's bed and tell her about the offer. She's quiet for a long time, picking at her bedspread. Would I have my own room? She asks finally. A big one, I say, with space for all your books and your shark posters and whatever else you want. And we'd all live there together. Like a family? Yes, I say. Like a family. A different kind of family, maybe, but a real one. Mia nods slowly. Okay, she says. I think we should do it. This place is getting too small anyway, and I like Sarah's house. It has a good yard, and Sarah is nice, and she makes you smile more than you used to. When did you get so wise? I ask, pulling her into a hug. I've always been this wise, she says. You just haven't been paying attention. We move in on a Saturday in February, and it's chaos. Boxes everywhere. Furniture that doesn't fit quite right. The three of us exhausted and punch-drunk by evening. We order pizza and eat it sitting on the floor of our new living room. And Mia declares it the best day ever, even though she's covered in dust and her room is a disaster. Welcome home, Sarah says, raising her water glass in a toast. To new beginnings, I echo, and we clink glasses. And Mia adds, more pizza and less unpacking, which makes us all laugh until we're crying. The adjustment takes time. Learning to live together instead of dating is different. Harder in some ways, easier in others. We have our first real fight about dishes left in the sink, about different standards of clean, about whose way of doing things is right. But we learn to compromise, to communicate, to give each other space when needed and support when asked. Mia adapts faster than I expected, claims her room as her sanctuary, starts inviting Emma over to see the new house. My mother slowly warms up, starts calling more often, even visits one Sunday, and admits grudgingly that the house is nice, and Mia seems happy. On a warm evening in March, almost a year after that first text message, the three of us are in the backyard. Sarah and I are attempting to plant a garden while Mia supervises and offers unhelpful commentary. You're putting the tomatoes too close together, she announces. They need space to grow. Thank you, Master Gardener, I say, but I adjust them anyway. Sarah's hands are covered in dirt, her hair escaping its bun, and she's never looked more beautiful to me. What? She asks, catching me staring. Nothing, I say. Just thinking about how much has changed. Good changes, she asks. The best changes, I confirm. That night, after Mia's asleep, Sarah and I sit on the porch swing, wrapped in a blanket against the spring chill. I want to marry you, she says quietly. Not now, not yet, but someday. I want us to be official, legal, permanent. I want Mia, no, this is forever. Yes, I say. And the word comes easily. No hesitation. Someday when it feels right, when Mia's ready, when we've built enough of a foundation that forever feels possible. It already feels possible, Sarah says. And she kisses me under the porch light with the sound of crickets starting up and the promise of spring in the air. The next morning, I wake up to sunlight streaming through our bedroom window and Sarah's still asleep beside me. I can hear Mia moving around in her room, probably already on her tablet, researching shark migration patterns. I think about the text message that started all of this. The confusion and fear and uncertainty. I think about all the ways I could have responded differently, could have shut this down, could have stayed safe in my small life. But I didn't. I showed up. I took the risk. I let myself want something scary and uncertain and real. And now I'm here in this house with this woman with my daughter down the hall building something I didn't know I needed until I had it. Sarah stirs, opens her eyes, smiles at me. Good morning, she murmurs. Good morning, I say back and I kiss her. And I think about how sometimes the best things in life start with a confusing text message and the courage to show up and see what happens next. 2 years slide by in the way time does when you're happy. Not disappearing exactly, but blending together into a mosaic of ordinary moments that somehow add up to everything. Mia turns 14 and shoots up 3 in seemingly overnight. All gangly limbs and attitude, still obsessed with Marie. And though she and Sarah will never be best friends, there's a grudging respect there. A recognition that Sarah makes me happy and treats Mia well. And those things matter more than whatever picture my mother had in her head of what my life should look like. On a Tuesday in October, Mia's school calls during my lunch break. She's sick. They say needs to be picked up. And I'm in the middle of a client meeting that I can't leave. I text Sarah without thinking. The way you text family. Mia's school called. She's sick. I'm stuck in a meeting. Can you? The response comes back immediately. Already leaving. I'll take her home and make soup. Don't worry. And just like that, the crisis is handled because we're a team now. Because Sarah loves Mia, not because she has to, but because that's what happened over 2 years of living together, of helping with homework and attending parent-teacher conferences, and sitting through terrible school plays where Mia had 3 lines and forgot 2 of them. When I get home that evening, I find them on the couch. Mia wrapped in blankets, her head on Sarah's shoulder, watching some nature documentary about coral reefs. Sarah's hand is stroking Mia's hair absently, and they're both completely absorbed in the screen. And I stand in the doorway for a moment just looking at them. My family, the one I built from courage and chance and choice. "How's the patient?" I ask, and Mia lifts her head. "Dying," she announces dramatically. "Definitely dying." Sarah made soup, but I think I'm too sick to eat. "You ate 2 bowls," Sarah says dryly. That was before Mia insists. Before my condition worsened. I sit on Mia's other side, press my hand to her forehead. She's warm but not burning. Probably just a regular cold. "You'll survive," I tell her. "Barely," she says. But she's smiling, and she leans against me the way she used to when she was little. Later, after Mia's in bed with medicine and water and strict instructions to text if she needs anything, Sarah and I clean up the kitchen together. It's routine now. This choreography of domestic life, the way we move around each other, the comfortable silence punctuated by small observations about the day. "Thank you," I say, "for picking her up, for taking care of her." "You don't have to thank me," Sarah says. "She's my kid too. Maybe not biologically, maybe not legally yet, but in every way that matters. The yet hangs there between us, full of promise and possibility. We've talked about marriage sporadically over the past 2 years, always in the abstract, always someday when the time is right. But lately, I've been thinking that maybe the right time isn't some perfect future moment. Maybe the right time is just when you're ready to say out loud what's already true. The next weekend, I take Mia out for ice cream. Just the 2 of us. The kind of mother-daughter time we've been having less of as she gets older and more involved with friends and activities. She orders something complicated with 3 different toppings and extra whipped cream. And I get my usual vanilla because I'm boring and she tells me so. "Can I ask you something serious?" I say when we're settled at a small table. Mia looks up suddenly wary. "Are you pregnant?" Because Emma's mom is pregnant, and she used that exact same voice when she told Emma. "I'm not pregnant," I say, fighting a smile. "I promise. But I want to talk to you about Sarah." "Okay," Mia says slowly, taking a large bite of ice cream. "I'm thinking about asking her to marry me," I say. "Actually, I'm not just thinking about it. I want to, but I need to know how you feel about that first." Mia is quiet for a long moment, studying her ice cream like it holds the secrets of the universe. "Would she adopt me?" she asks finally. "Would that be part of it?" The question catches me off guard, makes my throat tight. "Is that something you want?" I ask carefully. "I mean, yeah," Mia says, trying for casual, but not quite achieving it. "If she's going to be my parent anyway, like officially, then it makes sense, right? And I could have her last name too if I wanted. Or we could all have the same last name. I read about hyphenation and how that works. You've been thinking about this." I observe. "Obviously, I've been thinking about it." Mia says Sarah's been my parent for 2 years now. She comes to my stuff, helps with my homework, grounds me when I'm being an idiot. She's just not official yet, and I think she should be if she wants to be. Does she want to be? I think about all the times Sarah has sat through Mia's soccer games, even though neither of them understand soccer. The way she learned about marine biology, just so she could have real conversations with Mia about it, the fierce protectiveness I've seen in her eyes. When anyone suggests that our family isn't quite real because it doesn't fit the traditional mold, I think she would want nothing more in the world, I say honestly. But we have to ask her. This would be a decision we all make together. "Good," Mia says decisively. "Then let's do it. Ask her to marry you. Tell her I want her to adopt me. Make it all official so people stop asking me weird questions about my family like it's complicated. It's not complicated. She's my parent. You're my parent. That's not complicated at all." I reach across the table, take Mia's hand. When did you get so smart? I ask, and it's what I always ask when she says something that makes my heart hurt in the best way. I've always been this smart, she says, which is what she always responds. You're just now catching up. I spend the next 2 weeks planning, which Sarah would probably find amusing, given that she's the planner in our relationship and I'm usually the one who flies by the seat of my pants. But this feels important, significant, something that deserves thought and care and intention. I recruit Jenna, who's delighted to be involved, and together we plot. Nothing elaborate, nothing public, just something true, something that feels like us. On a Saturday evening in November, I tell Sarah that Mia and I want to take her somewhere. Where? She asks suspiciously because she knows me well enough now to detect when I'm scheming. It's a surprise, I say. Just trust me. Wear something comfortable. We drive to the beach where Sarah took me on our 5th date. The place where we first said I love you out loud instead of just implying it. It's cool and windy, the kind of November evening where you need a jacket, but it's not quite cold yet. The sun's starting its descent toward the horizon. We walk along the water's edge. The 3 of us, and Mia isn't on the plan, has been helping me rehearse what I want to say, even though she keeps telling me I'm overthinking it. When we reach a quiet stretch, I stop. Sarah looks at me, questions in her eyes, and I take her hands. So I start Mia snorts because that's how. I start everything with that meaningless word that buys me time to figure out what comes next. I've been thinking, I continue about that first text message. The one that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight." The one that confused me so much I stared at it for 5 minutes trying to understand what was happening. Sarah's eyes are bright now, suspecting where this is going, but not quite believing it. I think about how scared I was that night, I say. How I almost didn't go. How I could have texted back and said, "This is weird. This is too much. Let's just pretend this never happened and stay professional." And if I had done that, if I had let fear win, I would have missed all of this. These 2 years, this life, this family. My voice cracks slightly and I study it. You told me once that being scared doesn't mean. I open the box, reveal the simple silver band with 3 small stones. Sapphire for Sarah, emerald for me, aquamarine for Mia. Jenna's suggestion imperfect. So Sarah Chen, will you marry me? She's crying now, tears running down her face, and she's nodding before she can get the words out. Yes, she finally manages. Yes, of course, yes. I slide the ring onto her finger and she pulls me into a kiss that tastes like salt and happiness and the future. When we break apart, Mia is grinning. My turn, she announces. Sarah looks at her. Confused, and Mia suddenly looks nervous, younger than her 14 years. So Maya starts, mimicking my earlier beginning and making Sarah laugh through her tears. I was thinking if you're going to be married to my mom and you're already basically my parent anyway, maybe you can make it official, like adopt me if you want to. No pressure, but I want you to because you're my family and I want everyone to know it. Sarah crouches down to Mia's height, even though Mia's almost as tall as her now, takes both of Mia's hands. I would be honored, she says, her voice shaking. I love you so much. You know that, right? I know, Mia says. I love you too. Does this mean I can call you Mom, or is that weird? We haven't really figured out the name thing. You can call me whatever feels right. Sarah says, Mom, Mama. Sarah, hey, you. I just want to be yours officially. Maybe Mama? Mia decides since she's Mom. That way it's not confusing. Mama, Sarah repeats, testing it. And then she's crying again and pulling Mia into a hug. I stand there watching them, my daughter and my soon-to-be wife, and I think about all the ways life doesn't turn out the way you plan. How sometimes the detours are better than the destination you thought you were heading toward. How family isn't always about biology or tradition or fitting into prescribed boxes. Sometimes it's about showing up and being brave and choosing each other every single day. We walk back as the sun sets, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. Mia between us, holding both our hands, talking excitedly about The wedding and the adoption, and whether she should hyphenate her name or just add Sarah's last name or come up with something entirely new. I could be Mia Chun Rodriguez Smith, she suggests. That's extremely long, I point out, but memorable. Mia counters, people would never forget me. People already don't forget you, Sarah says. You're pretty unforgettable as is. True, Mia agrees with zero humility. And we laugh, the three of us, and the sound carries across the beach and out over the water. We get married in March, small ceremony in our backyard with just family and close friends. My mother actually cries during the ceremony. And afterward, she hugs Sarah and whispers something I can't hear, but that makes Sarah smile. Mia is our officiant, got herself ordained online specifically for this purpose. And she takes the job incredibly seriously, reading from note cards she prepared, and making jokes that land better than they have any right to. Do you, Sarah Chun, take this woman to be your wife? To love and cherish, and also to tell her when she's being ridiculous? Mia intones seriously. I do, Sarah says, grinning. And do you, Mom, take Sarah to be your wife to support and encourage, and also to hide her phone when she's obsessively checking work emails at dinner? I do, I say, and I mean it with my entire heart. When we exchange rings, when we say our vows that we wrote ourselves and are probably too personal for public consumption, but we don't care. When Mia pronounces us married and tells us we may now kiss, I feel something click into place that I didn't know was misaligned. This is what I was running toward all those years. This moment, this family, this love that we chose and built and fought for, the adoption goes through 2 months later. A different kind of ceremony, but equally emotional. Mia officially becomes Mia Rodriguez Chun, a name she spent weeks deciding on, wanting both of us there in her identity. The judge asks Mia if she understands what this means, that Sarah will. Legally be her parents and responsibilities that entails. I understand, Mia says clearly. She's been my parent. This just makes it official. And you want this? The judge asks. More than anything, Mia says, and she looks at Sarah with such open affection that I have to look away because I'm crying again. And I've already cried enough today. After we go out for celebratory dinner at that same Italian place where Sarah first took me on a real date, Mia orders the most expensive thing on the menu because she says this is a special occasion and we can't argue with that logic. Speech. Mia demands when the food arrives. Someone has to make a speech. You make one, I tell her. It's your day. Fine, she says, standing up even though we're in a restaurant and people are looking. I'd like to thank my mom's plural for being brave enough to be weird and build a family that doesn't look like other families, but is somehow better because it's ours. And I'd like to thank them for showing me that love isn't about fitting into boxes. It's about choosing people and committing to them and showing up even when it's hard. And mostly I'd like to thank them for being embarrassing in public because it builds character. She sits back down to scattered applause from nearby tables. Perfect speech, Sarah says. 10 out of 10, someone give this girl a prize. The prize is breadsticks, Mia says, reaching for another. And also the knowledge that I have the best family ever, but mostly the breadsticks. That night, after Mia's asleep, Sarah and I sit in our bedroom, still in our nice clothes from dinner, just looking at each other. We did it, she says. We actually did it. Built a whole family from scratch. From a confusing text message, I remind her from courage and desperation and a lot of hope. She corrects, the text message was just the catalyst. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't shown up that night? I ask, if I'd been too scared or decided it was too weird. All the time, Sarah admits. And then I think about how glad I am that you were brave, that we both were, that we took this terrifying leap and it actually worked. She reaches for my hand and I notice we both have small scars on our fingers now from various domestic accidents. Proof of the ordinary work of building a life together. I love you, I say. And the words still feel significant even though I say them every day now. I love you too, Sarah says. You and Mia, my family, the one I chose and fought for and get to keep. We sit there in comfortable silence, and I think about everything that led to this moment. Rachel and the failed relationship that I thought meant I was broken. Getting pregnant with Mia alone because I couldn't imagine trusting someone enough to build a family with them. Years of careful isolation of protecting myself and my daughter from the risk of pain. And then Sarah showing up with a confusing text message and a declaration and the courage to be vulnerable when everything in her history said run away. Sometimes the best things in life require you to be braver than you think you can be. Sometimes you have to show up even when you're terrified, trust even when you've been hurt before, build even when you're not sure the foundation will hold. And sometimes if you're very lucky, it works. The person on the other side meets you halfway. The life you build together is better than anything you imagined alone. The family you create, unconventional and imperfect and absolutely real, becomes the home you've been looking for all along. I fall asleep that night with Sarah beside me. The sound of Mia's music faintly playing from her room down the hall. And I think about how I used to believe that safety meant keeping everything controlled and small and manageable. But real safety isn't about avoiding risk. It's about finding people you can be brave with. Building something. I show it to Sarah, who reads it and presses her face into my shoulder. "She's gonna make me cry again," she murmurs. "I've cried more in the past 3 years than in my entire previous life combined." "Good crying, though," I say. "The best kind." "The very best kind," she agrees. I text Mia back. "Love you too, sweetheart. Thank you for being part of this adventure." Then I set my phone aside, curl into Sarah's warmth, and let myself fall into sleep without worry, without fear, without the constant vigilance that used to define my life. Because this is what I learned from a confusing text message and the courage to show up. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking one at all. Sometimes love requires you to be vulnerable and uncertain and willing to fail. And sometimes when you're brave enough to try, you get everything you never knew you needed, wrapped up in a family that chose each other and keeps choosing each other every single day. The end.